Welcome to World Prism. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. In 2024, Mexico shocked the world, not with politics or culture, but with cranes and concrete. The country's cities and towns became living construction zones, buzzing with activity and ambition. The country erupted in a construction boom, transforming skylines and landscapes at a pace few predicted. Towering cranes became as common as church steeples, and the sound of jackhammers echoed from sunrise to sunset. This wasn't a slow build. It was a nationwide surge, touching every sector from highways to high-rises. Projects that had been on the drawing board for years suddenly sprang to life, fueled by new investment and optimism. New roads connected remote communities, while office towers and industrial parks redefined cities. Rural areas saw fresh opportunities, and urban centers grew taller and more modern by the week. Residential developers raced to meet the demands of a young, growing population. Entire neighborhoods seemed to appear overnight, offering new homes and hope for families across the country. The scale was unprecedented. This was a foundational shift, not just a handful of headline projects. It was a coordinated effort, with public and private sectors working together to reshape the nation's future. From the industrial north to the tourist south, evidence of the boom was everywhere. No region was left untouched, and the energy was contagious. What made it remarkable was the timing. While much of the world tightened belts, Mexico accelerated. As other economies slowed, Mexico's construction sector became a beacon of resilience and growth. This wasn't just about new buildings, it was about laying the groundwork for a modern, competitive economy. Technology parks, transport hubs, and smart infrastructure signaled a leap into the future. The construction wave became a symbol of confidence and ambition, signaling Mexico's readiness for a bigger role on the world stage. It was a message to the world. Mexico was building not just for today, but for generations to come. Investors and analysts took notice, realizing something significant was reshaping the nation. International attention and capital began to flow, further fueling the momentum. The story of 2024 was one of transformation, momentum, and unexpected dynamism. Mexico's construction surprise became a defining chapter in its modern history, setting the stage for a bold new era. The numbers behind Mexico's boom are more than just statistics. They reveal a story of ambition, resilience, and transformation. These figures tell a story of extraordinary growth, with cities and communities reshaping before our eyes. In 2024, the construction industry surged by 4.1%, not only outpacing global forecasts, but also surpassing expectations at home. The real action was in the building subsector. Homes, offices, shopping centers, expanding by nearly 7%, fueling a wave of new developments across the country. This sector now accounts for 70% of construction's economic impact, driven by strong domestic demand and the dreams of millions seeking better lives. Government investment, though winding down, still played a crucial role. Over $12.5 billion was earmarked for roads and highways, connecting cities and regions like never before. Civil engineering works grew by 2.3%, laying the groundwork for private sector expansion and opening new corridors for trade and travel. The result? An impressive 8.4% year-on-year jump in building activity, representing thousands of new structures and millions of square meters added to the urban landscape. This wasn't a temporary spike. It was a fundamental transformation of Mexico's physical and economic landscape, visible in every corner of the nation. The construction boom set Mexico apart from its peers, redefining its economic potential and inspiring confidence in its future. 2024 was not just about growth, it was about a nation rebuilding itself for the future, laying the foundation for generations to come. The real twist in 2024 was who was driving the boom. The faces behind the cranes and blueprints were changing, and so was the very foundation of Mexico's construction surge. For years, government megaprojects dominated the landscape, shaping skylines and infrastructure. But as those projects wrapped up, public investment fell by over 18%, leaving behind unfinished sites and a sense of uncertainty about what would come next. Instead, the private sector surged forward, stepping into the void. Private investment jumped 7.2%, signaling a new era of growth and opportunity. Businesses and developers poured money into industrial parks, offices, and commercial centers, betting on Mexico's future and fueling a wave of innovation and expansion. Meanwhile, civil works, roads, bridges, dams contracted by nearly 9% as public projects dried up, leaving some areas waiting for promised improvements. the private sector filled the gap, shifting the industry's focus from public infrastructure to private development and bringing new energy to cities and towns across the country. This marked a maturing economy, less dependent on government and more on market forces, as private projects began to reshape the urban landscape. Private investment signaled confidence in Mexico's long-term prospects, even as public spending waned, and investors saw new reasons to believe in the country's potential. The construction boom's foundation became deeper and more diverse, driven by private ambition and a vision for a modern, competitive Mexico. Mexico's growth story was no longer just about government projects. It was about a thriving, resilient private sector, building the country's future from the ground up. Mexico's construction surge blindsided global analysts. While the world worried about inflation and slowdowns, Mexico's expansion seemed to come out of nowhere. Many expected a slump as government projects ended, but the private sector, fueled by nearshoring, picked up the slack. International companies flocked to Mexico, driving demand for factories and warehouses. Strong domestic demand also played a role, with Mexicans seeking better housing and modern retail spaces. The building boom wasn't just for foreign investors, it was powered by the aspirations of Mexican citizens. Even during a political transition, when investment usually pauses, construction accelerated. The sector defied the typical election year slowdown, showing resilience and momentum. Nearshoring and robust domestic demand forced the world to rethink Mexico's economic potential. The boom was a testament to the country's complexity and promise. 2024 proved Mexico was more than anyone expected. The construction boom dramatically changed daily life for millions. It created jobs across the board, from engineers to laborers, bringing steady paychecks to families nationwide. The surge in residential building addressed a critical housing shortage, offering more options for a young, growing population. New commercial centers became community hubs, while modernized roads eased commutes and connected cities. These improvements raised living standards and made life more efficient for everyone. But, as public projects ended, the sector shed 2.5% of its workforce, especially in regions reliant on government spending. The boom's benefits were real, but so were the risks of a sudden slowdown. For many, the future depended on whether the building wave could truly continue. As 2024 ended, optimism gave way to caution. The 2025 budget slashed government investment by 14%, with some estimates putting real cuts over 20%. No major public works are set to replace completed projects, leaving a gap in the industry. Political uncertainty looms, especially with Donald Trump's re-election in the US, raising fears of tariffs and stricter border policies. These risks threaten the nearshoring trend that fueled the boom. Credit is tightening. Despite lower interest rates, lending to construction shrank by 3.4%. Rising costs for materials and a potentially weaker peso could squeeze profits and stall projects. Forecasts for 2025 range from flat growth to a sharp 7% contraction. The industry faces a tough year ahead, a stark contrast to 2024's triumphs. The question, can Mexico weather the storm and keep building? Mexico's 2024 construction boom stands as a defining moment in its economic evolution. For the first time, private sector confidence, not government spending, drove the nation's transformation. The boom unfolded against global uncertainty and political transition, yet Mexico accelerated. New factories, homes, and highways became symbols of ambition and resilience. The challenges of 2025 are real: spending cuts, political risks, and tighter credit. But the drivers of the boom, strategic location, skilled workforce, and North American integration, remain. The legacy of 2024 is a more dynamic, competitive Mexico. The next chapter depends on whether leaders can sustain private investment and turn a one-year surge into a lasting trend. The foundations are set. The world is watching. Mexico's story is far from over.